Bushy B, 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 Bushy B.
This is called Keeping Up Appearances. The clue's in the name, Royal Borough. We serve Knightsbridge, not Latimer Road. We're here for our quality voters with a moneyed and tasteful postcode. We tolerate you since we have to, and we hope that you'll soon move elsewhere. Until then, we'll do our legal duty. If you cause any problems, beware. Your flats are all crumbling eyesores. Your neighbours are your social betters. They paid millions to live in this area. Some are next door to scroungers and debtors. So it's time to refurbish your building. Not with fire doors, sprinklers and care, but with cladding to make it look nicer so the rich can pretend you're not there. It's unsafe, you complain. That's just rubbish. We've been running it this way for years. Just be grateful you're housed in this borough and make sure that you're not in arrears. You've new skins on your homes, they look lovely. Regulations and standards are met, all done legally and within budget. So get on with your lives and don't fret. Those new skins caused a ghastly inferno, but that council is still in control. Though some shall be charged with manslaughter and the rest all relieved of their role. Now the people cried, justice for Grenfell, in the name of those folk left alone in a world where appearances mattered more than flesh, skin, hair, muscle and bone. Thanks. It looks so different now, but I still recall how in this place there was horror and fear. Some people I know simply don't want to go. Are we there? It's a strange atmosphere. When I'm Hillsborough bound, the same thought comes around, one that caused this short verse to be penned. The best antidote to that old Shankly quote is to stand in the Leppings Lane end. We all have our dreams and our hopes for our teams, and we sing till we die in our youth. Those folks sang, then they died. The police and press lied. It took 27 years till the truth. So if, as they may, Wednesday beat us today, to this comforting thought I'll hold fast. We'll walk out of that ground and get home safe and sound. For the 96, justice at last. Thanks. This is called And Smith Must Score. 5 yards out, an open goal, and not a man in sight. The memory of that awful miss still haunts me late at night. 10 seconds left in extra time and history in the making. But Smith's shot hit the goalie's legs, and now our hearts are breaking. A paralytic lemming with the skill of a dead cat and the finesse of a hamster would have done better than that. A decomposing dogfish, wrapped in bondage, head to toe, could have stuck that ball into the net with his knob. But Gordon Smith, oh no. When Robinson broke down the left and put the ball across, we knew for sure the Seagulls' win was Man United's loss, and as old Smithy shaped to shoot, a mighty roar went up. The impossible had happened. We'd won the FA Cup. A fleeting glimpse of glory. Alas, it was not to be. We lost the replay 4-0, went down to Division 3, and then a lot lower still. The one chance of a lifetime, so cruelly snatched away. But till the white coats come for me, I'll never forget that day. Cheers. But this one, I mean, of all the ridiculous, weird, funny stories that I couldn't have made. If I'd sat in a darkened room for a week, I couldn't have made this up if it hadn't happened. I'd always enjoyed playing the Marquee Club, the history-sodden rock venue in Soho's Wardour Street, sadly now closed. As already mentioned, I'd supported John Otway there twice in 1982, the first time I'd met him. My next gig there wasn't until 1989, a tension-filled and stormy night supporting the Angelic Upstarts. The previous year they'd been attacked by fascists at a punk festival at the Astoria and their gig closed down. The fascists had vowed that the Upstarts will never play London again. Anti-fascist action laid down the gauntlet at one of the capital's most high-profile venues. The fascists didn't show. The gig was fantastic, a truly memorable night. But the next offer I got to play there would be rather a contrast. On Monday in January 1991, phone rings. Can't remember the bloke's name after all these years, but the conversation is still vivid. Is that Attila? Hi, I book shows for the Marquee. Donny Osmond is supposed to be playing here tomorrow night, but he's pulled out. We don't want to shut the venue for the night, and we're looking for someone to do a set. Would you be interested? We'll pay you and give you as much beer as you want and as big a guest list as you like. I burst out laughing. Well, I think I know the first verse of Puppy Love. Sure, I'll give it a go. The deal was simple. Everyone who'd booked to see Donny got a refund and the chance to watch Attila the Stockbroker for free. I had one day to ring round as many people I knew as possible and tell them that I was Donny Osmond's understudy at the Marquee the following night. And there was free beer for anyone who made it along. Unfortunately, this was, of course, way before the advent of social media, so I couldn't put an event page on Facebook. I certainly will if it ever happens again. The gig was sold out. About half the audience decided to take up the Marquee's offer, which meant that I was confronted with a fairly large number of very disappointed ladies in their mid-30s, plus a smattering of male partners, several of whom came up to me and told me that they were very pleased at the prospect of spending an evening listening to Attila rather than Donny. About 20 Attila fans turned up and got the promised free beer. I started my set. By the end of the first 15 minutes, half the Donny fans had walked out, but the rest of them really enjoyed it. And I got an encore. Now, I never ever thought that I would be doing this. I'm sure that you never did either, but I'm equally sure that just about everybody here knows the words. So, for the first time probably, I probably have covers. There's probably people doing covers in here sometimes, but I'm sure no one's ever covered this before. Here we go. Join in, everybody. And they called it Puppy Love. Oh, I guess they'll never know how a young heart really feels. Remember the teeth? And why I love her so. And they called it Puppy Love just because we're in our teens. Tell them it isn't fair. Take away our only dream. I cry each night, my tears for you. My tears are all in vain. I hope and I'll pray that maybe one day you'll be back in my arms once again. Someone help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me, please! Is the answer up above. How can I tell them this is not a puppy love? Cheers. Well. Okay. Now here's a song from... Again, I've hardly ever done this one before, so I may get it wrong as I did with the other one, but I'm going to try them anyway, because I like doing different stuff, new stuff, I write stuff I like to play. Anyway, you get it right. So this is a song, who's heard the fantastic song by Leon Rosselson, The World Turned Upside Down? Yeah, about the diggers movement. Well, this is about what happened next. This is called Wellingborough and Wigan. 17th century ska. And it has I've got to say, it's got a recorder part to start with my band. So the recorder part goes like this. The king had been beheaded. The world turned upside down, with Stanley and the diggers cried, the poor shall wear the crown. They made their stand in Surrey, upon St George's Hill. But when Stanley was Wigan born, from there we'll tell you still. The poverty around him bit deep into his soul. He grew up watching local folk dig common land for coal. That's where he got his digging from, modern comrades say. And there's a diggers' festival in Wigan to this day. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. The song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. This song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. The Wellingborough diggers were inspired to have a go. They said all things are common, said all things in common, and on common land it's so. The field there was called Bearshank, it soon was bearing fruit, till thugs hired by the rich arrived to trample and uproot. The diggers' manifesto came from teachings from the church, but priests served the properties and left them in the lurch. Although it was so long ago, their statement still rings true, and there's a diggers' festival in Wellingborough too. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. The song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. The song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. Across the south of England, on bits of common land, 34 communities in total made a stand. They made appeals to Cromwell, but all fell on deaf ears. Their cries for justice drowned out by the cruel landowners' cheers. It echoes down the centuries as we campaign today against the men of property who hold us in their sway. So many empty houses, so many folk in need, extremes of wealth and poverty, and profiteers and greed. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. This song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. This song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. This song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. It wasn't just in Surrey they were digging. This song goes out to Wellingborough and Wigan. Cheers. More or less. We're just about at the end now. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. I mean, absolutely, seriously, brilliant night. Thanks for coming, and cheer us on tomorrow. I'm going to do two more. The first of these is a punk rock poem, and this has a bit of a story behind it too, because those of you who are my sort of age, who like punk rock, will remember in the 1980s there were all these bands, and they had really punk rock names, often named after diseases, often diseases of the genitalia, as opposed to heavy metal bands that were all named after sort of things to do with Satan, basically. But there's a new disease that didn't have a name back then, that no punk rock band had ever got named after, because it's quite a new. Obviously, the disease has always existed, but it's got called a new thing. So basically, a few weeks, well, it's a bit ago now, about 8 months ago, my mum had Alzheimer's. Now my mother-in-law's got Alzheimer's. She's from Cheshire, and she's finally had to come and live in a home very near us in Southwick in West Sussex. And basically. We went to see her one day, and there was a sign on the door that said, "Please no visitors today, outbreak of winter vomiting bug." And I turned to my wife and I said, "There's never been a punk rock band called that." So I thought, but there needed to be a punk rock band in 1981 called Winter Vomiting Bug. And it needed to do a reformation gig this year at the George Roby. I mean, it's a long shot. Is there anyone here who ever went to the George Roby in London? No, I wasn't expecting it to be. It was one of the legendary 1980s punk rock venues. Basically, it was like being the South Coast. It was like being where we live, because the toilets were, the tide was out or in, and it was the toilet. So if the tide was in the toilet, you needed to have Doc Martens on, or you got into serious trouble. The other thing was they had a policy of allowing dogs in, but they didn't. You didn't have to have a poo bag. So basically, there was dog shit on the stage, and I mean literally there was. So this is the poem that I wrote about basically. Well, it's really about the punk scene in the 80s and the names and everything. But the reality of it is that all the bands, apart from Winter Vomiting Bug, named in this poem, actually have existed, and one of them exists to this day. And the other thing about it is, obviously, the George Roby is a real pub, but it did got knocked down quite a few years ago. The other pub that I made up pub is a pub that I made up the name of, the Broken Toilet in Slough. And I made the name up, although it must be said that many, many pubs where Crass played between about 1980 and about 1990 could have actually have had their name changed to that, because quite a lot of people, when Crass shouted "Smash the System," actually thought I thought that they had gone for good. A bloody tragic loss. But then I got a flyer at a Pukes gig in New Cross. A solid wall of armpit stench encased in rotting leather. The kings of crust and arco thrash are getting back together. The flyer's here. Well, what a lineup. Take a look at this. There's dog shit sandwich playing first. The Bugs, then Seats of Piss. Sick on the Bus are headlining. They're still going. You coming with me, mate? The gig's at the George Robey. Sure, it's been knocked down. That's great. What's that? It's all a wind-up? There isn't such a band? Your memory's not what it was. Of course I understand. We saw them. Broken Toilets, Slough, way back in 81, with Rudimentary Peni. A classic gig, my son. It's there we heard the Bugs first play their great Anarcho song. Yes, Smash the System. Fucking ace. Of course they spelt it wrong. It was a pun, real clever stuff. The Broken Toilets, see? They named the song after the pub. Don't look like that at me. And got some brilliant t-shirts too. It's not a joke, you prat. A big stag beetle, being sick, wearing a Santa hat. One last time at the Roby, mate. It's going to be sublime. It's not until April the 1st, so we've got loads of time. Cheers. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks to Gary and everyone here for inviting me. Is Nigel here? There was something. It's a shame, because basically how this gig came about was I put up on Facebook. You know, I've got Brighton to play Man U, and it's wonders. It's a Saturday kickoff. I've got 2 gigs in Manchester. Anyone else fancy putting me on somewhere I haven't played before? And Nigel, who isn't here tonight, suggested, you know, how about the number 39 in the Hop? When I saw Hopstar, and I saw, you know, and I looked it up, and I thought that, because I mean, basically, I like doing gigs. Obviously, most of my gigs are fitted around the fixture list. All of them specifically are targeted at places which serve good beer, because I like good beer, and I know that 95% of people that come to my gigs. If I play a place which serves only the urine of Satan, my audience decreases by about 80%. So I don't do it anymore. I wouldn't do it anyway, really. So anyway, so thanks for coming, everybody. This is the last one. This is really new, and it's a celebration of the spoken word scene now. Because when I started off, there wasn't one really, and now it's everywhere. The spoken word is like, it's like it's a huge scene around the country. Young people performing. I did the 2 gigs I did in Manchester. The first one was in Burnage. It was a benefit for the Mustard Tree homeless charity, and literally the entire audience were under 30, and it was fun, and it was packed. It was absolutely brilliant, in a great cause. And you know, so this and there was a guy down there who's 20, a black guy called Isaiah Holt, the most brilliant set supporting me. And there's just the spoken word is just taking off now, and it's really, really good. The scene's really good. So this is my first grime poem. I mean, it may not be grime, it might just be smeg or dirt or Crystal Palace or something, I don't know. But I think of it as grime anyway. It's called 40 Years in Rhyme. 40 years in rhyme, 36 full time, I'm still in my prime, life has been sublime. I could use some music, someone else can choose it, if it helps me flow and you got it, won't refuse it. Maybe not the done thing, maybe it's a young thing, I don't chat no gun thing, no make Kim un thing. I'm here to enlighten, representing Brighton. Now we're in the Premier League, who are we going to frighten? Mine's a southernmost, I'm from the Sussex coast. Hoser in the garden centre, bread is simply toast. Don't give me no cup of tea when I'm getting uppity, beer is my cup of tea. High specific gravity, like the wind I'm blowing, like a river flowing. 40 years of knowing exactly where I'm going. 60 on the planet, spoken word I span it, ranting verse I ran it. Seagull, not organic. Old punk on a new trip, not a special brew trip, not a sniffing glue trip, not a dissing new trip. Checking out fresh styles, bringing tears and smiles from the Outer Hebrides to the 7 Dials. Beer, I like it hoppy. Verse, I like it stroppy. Sometimes I like it personal, but I don't like it soppy. I remember Brother D. Grandmaster was legendary, but you, Roy, was the first to show. Toaster started off this flow. Ranty verse, reggae chat, hip-hop, grime and all of that. We are simply spoken word, voices shouting to be heard. Respect to my fellow man from Cooper Clock to Yellow Man, Stormzy, Tempest and Luke Wright. Spoken word is doing all right. When I began, there was no scene. Looking back at all that's been, 40 years of chatting rhyme. Having a fantastic time. Cheers, everybody. See you later. Good night.
Attila the Stockbroker. Come on, keep it going. Attila the Stockbroker.